we have the Deputy Permanent Representative of Venezuela, the group statement on behalf of the Group of Friends in Defense of the UN Charter.
I thank you, Honorable Minister. In the interest of time, I will deliver an abridged version of our statement. Mr. President, the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has the honor to take the floor on behalf of the Group of Friends in defense of the Charter of the United Nations. At the outset, allow us to convey our appreciation to both the Foreign Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and Chairman of the 48th Council of the Foreign Ministers of the OIC, and to the President of the General Assembly for jointly convening this special high-level event to commemorate the first International Day to Combat Islamophobia. Similarly, we would like to transmit also our gratitude to the UN Secretary General, the Secretary General of the OIC, the High Representative for the UN Alliance of Civilization, and to all other speakers in the program for their much valuable reflections on this important day in favor of diversity, respect for all religions or beliefs, including Islam, and above all, the promotion of tolerance and peace. Mr. President, the Group of Friends has the strong conviction to firmly promote, preserve, and defend the Charter of the United Nations, including the purposes and principles enshrined therein, as a guarantee of peace and balance in the international order, on the basis of a spirit of inclusivity, respect for diversity, for national sovereignty, for the legal equality of states, for the peaceful settlement of disputes, for social progress, and for the attainment of human rights within the framework of a reinvigorated, effective, and inclusive multilateralism. One of the main pivots of political action to make these convictions a reality is the promotion of intercultural and interreligious dialogue at all levels, as part of the mutual recognition of cultural diversity and of our common endeavors in favor of a culture of peace. Since immemorial time, intolerance and the supremacist desire of some groups within cultures and religions have promoted armed conflicts and interventionist policies aimed at imposing their convictions on others, including through violent means. The spirit of the United Nations, contained in its founding charter and which emanated after the victory of humanity back in 1945, is precisely the reflection of the collective desire that the peoples of the United Nations do not wish to repeat that past of exceptionalist and supremacist ideas, but instead desire to live in peace in a world of dialogue and coexistence, despite any political, religious, and cultural difference there may exist, and both praising our commonalities while embracing our diversity. Unfortunately, Mr. President, this aspiration has been tarnished by sectarianism of some individuals that, based on their religious beliefs, have promoted multiple manifestations of prejudice, discrimination, hatred, persecution, racial profiling, negative stereotyping, stigmatization, terrorism, and violent extremism conducive to terrorism in order to impose their ideas and generate suffering on others. In this context, we reject and condemn all expressions of violence against people on the basis of their religion or belief. Regrettably, these expressions have multiplied in recent years, as demonstrated by an increase in the number of terrorist attacks claimed by criminal organizations that intend to justify their heinous acts by wrongly attributing them to a certain religion or belief. In this context, we cannot overemphasize the importance of ensuring that terrorism and violent extremism conducive to terrorism never be associated with a given religion, nationality, civilization, or ethnic group. Having said that, the discourse of hate and exclusion exacerbated by digital media or political expressions in favor of supremacist discourse, the most extreme of which are Nazism and neo-Nazism, represent a major concern, especially in the midst of the current international juncture. The international community must therefore act decisively to condemn all these manifestations of hatred and intolerance without double standards in order to both prevent and combat their derivative violence. Mr. President, on the first International Day to Combat Islamophobia, to be commemorated from now on every 15 March, the Group of Friends raises its voice against the stigmatization, prejudice, and attacks against the Islamic faith, which have had manifestations of different kinds in various regions of the world, in some cases regretfully tolerated by some political sectors. According to the most recent report of the OIC Islamophobia Observatory, in the last 22 years, this unfortunate phenomenon has largely increased, particularly in some regions, continents, or societies where there is no Muslim preeminence. Similarly, as a result of the pandemic, its manifestation in virtual environments has also been amplified and has thus grown considerably. We stand in firm solidarity with all the victims of hatred against Islam and share the conviction expressed by its leaders and believers about the legacy of peace, empathy, and progress that the practice of their religion has sown for their very own lives, spirits, and societies during many centuries, while strongly advocating for their inalienable right to freely practice and profess their faith in line with Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is to celebrate its 75th anniversary later this year. On a positive note, we also seize this opportunity to note ongoing international initiatives aimed at advancing interreligious, interfaith, and intercultural dialogue, including those promoted by the UN Alliance of Civilizations and those foreseen in the Declaration and Program of Action on a Culture of Peace, as well as the multiple programs coming from faith-based organizations aimed at advancing international peace and security, sustainable development, and human rights. We wish to make special reference to the actions carried out by the OIC, which actively promotes global awareness of Islamophobia and the importance of generating an environment of mutual trust for the practice of different religious manifestations on the basis of respect and mutual understanding. Mr. President, to conclude, the Group of Friends reaffirms its unwavering determination to continue making political and programmatic contributions in order to ensure that sooner rather than later, all manifestations of violence and hatred based on religion become a history of the past. Realizing this common goal will require, nevertheless, the genuine commitment of all states, as well as of faith-based organizations and society as a whole, in order to recognize once and for all that cultural and religious diversity enriches us and generates paths towards sustainable development to the extent that guarantees are provided so that everyone can exercise their religion or belief freely and without impositions, in line with the spiritual call for love and coexistence that all faiths profess. Today we say, for the common good of humanity, and mindful of the fact that we live in a community with a shared future, that those things that may divide us, hurt us, or keep us apart shall never, ever prevail. And it is thus our duty to foster an effective culture of peace with tolerance, dialogue, and respect, including for fundamental human rights at its core, in order to enable us to build true links of friendship between all peoples, in spite of that diversity that for centuries and to date continues enriching in our common heritage. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Excellency.